What's going on, everybody? Super excited to be at the Genzio Media House. Actually, this is a gamer house this time around. We're here at Rare Evo 2025, and I have the privilege of sitting down with Mr. Fami over here. Dude, like, you are a big deal. I know you say you're not, but apparently Midnight is all the buzz, and I don't know much about it, and this is a perfect opportunity for you to tell me exactly what it's all about and why people should care.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. Look, I think we're here to talk about Midnight. Less about me. I'm not a big deal. What we want is to put the community first. And Midnight's all about putting community first and putting the blockchain back in their hands. Blockchain that gives them rational privacy, the ability to transact in a decentralized way, the way Satoshi wanted Bitcoin to be. But for that freedom that he gave you, in terms of the freedom of association, of commerce, of expression, ability to remove intermediation, everything was transparent. Everything's immutable. Everybody can see what you do. What we're going to do is bring privacy-enabling solutions back through Midnight that enables developers, consumers, users, corporates to come and use this next generation of blockchain.
All right, we got to break this down because I've heard a lot of people say, oh, we're going to go on Bitcoin because that's so private. Nobody knows it. No, like that's super public. And a lot of people don't understand that. How does Midnight actually obfuscate things to make it private?
Yeah, great question. Look, I think people confuse anonymity with privacy. So the addresses are anonymous. But every transaction you have and you perform on Bitcoin or other chains, every asset you own in an address is visible to everybody. It was the ability to prove there's no double spend. Validators can confirm every block, every transaction was valid, was authentic. But that transparency that you get, even though it's anonymous, does enable people to track transactions. Eventually, your address gets docked. People will figure that out. If not today, tomorrow, in 5 years. And you can't erase that. It's immutable. So people figure out your behavior and they look at how you behaved 5 years ago, 3 years ago, last week. They figure out if you're shopping at, where are you shopping, what coffee you buy, how you buy it, various things like that. So what Midnight is doing is bringing the ability to introduce shielded transactions to a blockchain where your transaction starts fully private. It's both the metadata and the data, the transactional data. And from that state of fully private, fully shielded, the smart contract language, compact, enables selective disclosure. We call it rational privacy. So let me give you an example of what that is. Today, we were meeting, I was told we're in this really cool place. The sun is out, we're in Vegas. So I put on a pair of shorts. I didn't realize that my legs are going to be on camera. They're now fully exposed. But that was a choice I made. I could wear trousers, I could wear shorts. I chose to make a rational choice around my legs would be on show.
Interesting.
And therefore now they're exposed. You can't erase that from this podcast, this interview. So had I chosen to wear trousers, that's a choice that I would have been fully shielded. Rational privacy, the ability to make choices. So when you have choice, the ability to shield, selectively disclose information, that's about confidentiality. When you introduce confidentiality, you introduce trust. And then trust leads to partnerships, more development. And that's what we want, more development, more real world adoption.
No, I love to hear that. And that makes a lot of sense because some things, we absolutely want to disclose, right? If you want to, buy a cup of coffee, you need to disclose that the transaction went through, at least at a bare minimum. Sometimes it's what are you paying with and that sort of thing. How are you essentially enabling the developers, to come on and leverage your technology for everyday use? Because you gave a great example. Like, I love the fact that you can buy pizza with Doge, right? That's a big thing in New York City, for example. But everybody knows exactly where I'm at if I do that.
Exactly. Well, the tokenomics that we've introduced, the apparatus that we've introduced in terms of the smart contract language enables that selective disclosure. So you start your journey shielded. So let's take that example, which is very much on trend of stablecoins. Today, stablecoins exist. Everybody's trying to adopt them. In the US, the legislature just passed the Genius Act. But with the Genius Act, what's going to happen is you require identity, KYC, KYB. But even before you think about identity, think about this as a transaction. Let's say through your firm, through your associations, you want to pay people in stablecoins on chain. Let's say you only have a team of 3 people. They receive it into their address, their wallet, and they go, I'm going to look where it came from. They look where it came from. From that, they go, at the same time, 2 other transactions went out. Oh my God, I'm the least paid of the other 2. Imagine the friction that causes. At work, in the traditional environment, people talk about almost everything: the weather, politics, office affairs, at the water cooler. Nobody ever discloses their salary, how much they have in the bank account. So in Midnight, you could get to a place where you have stablecoins issued publicly. You disclose the characteristics of the stablecoin, what it is, how much there is out there, what is circulating. But you enable users to hold it privately.
Got it.
So very much like the traditional world that we're used to. So now you get the ability of both things: public disclosures around things that should be publicly disclosed, and the ability to hold it privately. So we have stablecoin partners working with us in testnet to create private stablecoins, compliant stablecoins, which allows developers, pioneers in space to take advantage of that. Otherwise, the Genius Act, what it does is enables the existing banks, the existing financial powerhouses to come and take over. And we, the pioneers, the entrepreneurs who've led this crusade over the last 15 years, we shouldn't lose out because of that. So privacy matters. It's an enabler if you do it the right way.
I mean, I got into blockchain tech about 13 years ago, and we didn't think about this. We were like, just get a new address, just get a new address. I mean, we're all mining, right? We're all actually acquiring virgin Bitcoin, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But looking back, I'm like, I just look back at how much money I spend. I'm like, I can still see, thousands of dollars on an indie game, and it was crazy to look back and see those things. And now I'm looking at it and going, wait, all my information, all my history, it's all public. Everybody can see it. All the things that I did wrong, all my failures and successes are all listed on the blockchain.
Everything's there.
Why should it be this way?
Exactly. So just take earlier today, we talked about rational privacy. You disclosed a little bit of information, personal information about yourself to me: where you live, where you originally came from, the fact that you are married. I hope you don't mind me disclose that to the audience.
And I got 3 kids now too.
Yeah, cool. So, and congratulations. But let's say today with stablecoins or a crypto asset, you want to go and buy something special for your wife. It's her birthday, it's an anniversary. But she knows your wallet. She can go on Subscan and see, or some other block explorer, see what you're doing. She goes, oh, what did he spend there? And therefore, this surprise that you want to present to her is no longer a surprise. So that's where rational privacy, the ability to enable that kind of confidentiality matters. And therefore, we think that's the way to garner real world adoption. Today, yes, there's a lot of interest in blockchains, but more from an investment perspective. The BlackRocks of this world have launched ETFs. But that's not really using blockchain to change
at all
how businesses work, how the fabric of society works. It's just another investment thesis. They could be investing in a housing ETF, a real estate ETF. So it's what differentiates it from its Bitcoin. So go back to the basics. Why are we here? We wanted to make change. We wanted to introduce a different way to do things. And yes, transparency was a sacrifice we made. But ZK, zero knowledge proof technology, exists. And therefore, cryptography and zero knowledge proof works to give us all an enhanced, a better, arguably, blockchain.
I mean, that's definitely one of the use cases I never thought about. Right now, I'm keeping a couple of wallets hidden so my wife doesn't know about it.
But don't tell her that. She knows about it now.
No, she's not going to watch this. I'm not going to let her. But that's exactly it. That's a great point. And I'm sure there's plenty of those things that people aren't considering that are pretty important. And I think would make a huge difference in their day-to-day lives, especially the way that we're going. Because right now, maybe we're not using, blockchain tech as much as we're going to in like a year or 2 from now. Maybe, from payments to just everyday life. And like you said, running payroll. So many companies that I work with are running payroll on blockchain and decentralized blockchain too. Like we're not talking about using exchanges or anything like that, which is what I'm all for. So knowing that there's an ability for them to actually operate in a private manner makes a huge difference. And what's the downside? I mean, there's got to be a catch, right?
Look, with anything, when you mention the word privacy, especially around blockchain, everybody gets nervous. They all think about bad actors. When Bitcoin, people use it for wrong things. Bad actors are going to use it for, I don't know, processing money laundering or whatever it may be. And the reality is actually the biggest component of money laundering is cash. It's fiat. It's untraceable.
Yeah.
You can do a deal. You can do something. You'll buy something. If I go to a coffee shop right now and buy a latte, a cappuccino, macchiato with $10 US, $20 US, nobody can trace that back to me. And therefore, when people talk about Bitcoin and blockchains being there to encourage bad behavior, I question that. First of all, the source is a program, results in the distribution of the token, the creation of the tokens, and every transaction can be tracked. So we need to understand that blockchains are here. They can be for good, many, many use cases. And privacy, when you apply it to a blockchain, privacy is your right. It's your physical right. It's your digital right. It's something that in your real world, we just spoke about what you want to share, what you don't share, people accept. So why in a blockchain is it such a terrible thing? So we need to reclaim privacy as something that's fundamental and has a real use case in everything that we do. So with the selective disclosure that Midnight introduces through its compact smart contract, what we can allow is disclosures. So when I hold something privately, I can disclose some information. That could also mean disclosing information to a regulator, if required, to your wife, just in case she gets a bit nervous about what you're spending your money on.
And I use a regulator sometimes, like let's say.
Yeah, that's look, I'm married too. That's the ultimate regulator. So, so ultimately, it's how do you bring privacy with the ability to disclose? Privacy is both, it can be public and private. They're two states, but the world is not black and white. The world is a spectrum of colors, and privacy is a spectrum of colors. And so you can choose how much share, how much you can't. So that's where the smart contract language compact is as critical to what Midnight's doing as the ability to shield the metadata and the data from the onset of the transaction.
Now, how does that apply to the IDs, for example, and your identity on chain? Is that something that can be applied to, me disclosing, like you were describing, my name, my address, and the details about my life? Because one of the things I hate the most is having to KYC in so many different platforms. I mean, there's so many hacks, so many people literally giving out my data.
Yes.
And it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, think about the web, the internet as we know it today. Your data has been monetized by other people. When you put a picture on a social media platform, when you share information, when you purchase something on a vendor platform, let's shout it out, Amazon, they capture your data. They capture information about you, personal information, financial information, purchase behavior. And they use that to send you the odd advert that makes you go, oh, yeah, I need that. I didn't know I needed it, but now I need it. I want to click on it, buy it. So they are monetizing that, your value, your identity. And as you say, you have it in multiple places. So the risk is somebody can paint a picture of who you are. Identity theft is a real issue because of how much information is shared out there. So why should it be out there so often? Why can't you be the owner of it? So if you think about identity, like this week, I'm here for Rare Evo in Vegas. I'm in the hotel. Every time I charge something in my room to make sure that I'm not fraudulent, they ask for my ID. But I present my ID, my name, my age, where I come from, where I live, all of those things. And all they need to know is proof that I am a legitimate resident of the hotel for that week. So when you present ID, whether a bar or in that sort of circumstance, you should be able to provide a proof. You should be the owner of the data, and you need to just provide proof that you are of the right jurisdiction, the right age, the right whatever to participate. So in Midnight, we are working with identity partners who can bring identity proofs. Many of them are working to industry standards that can be used by applications, maybe even stablecoins. Now, as part of that, where Midnight works really effectively is by providing proof of accreditation of some kind, age, or I'm US citizen, or whatever it may be. It can get you into the next step of the transaction.
Got it.
So let's take stablecoins. You could have stablecoins issued by the same provider where they could create a US pool, a US version, and a not US version. Same asset backing, same sort of substance.
Yeah.
But one says you can only be in this pool and liquidity if you're a US citizen.
Got it.
And then everything else is international. So you can create separation. So when it comes to DeFi, when it comes to supply and other chains and other things, your identity or proof of that or your accreditation gates you further into the transaction.
you literally just described something that I never thought of in the blockchain space, which is the ability to trade currency. Like right now, this happens a lot outside of crypto. People are buying and selling currency. It's a huge market.
Yeah.
But we don't necessarily have that on blockchain just because we don't identify who's who and where people are. And yeah, I mean, that would essentially enable a brand new market to be brought onto the blockchain.
Well, that's what this allows. This is saying all the things that we see and we want to change from the traditional industries, blockchain through decentralization can be enabler. But blockchain itself is an enabler to a certain extent until you realize that everything's visible.
Yeah.
Like, let's find another example. Think of large corporates. These currency flows that you spoke about. Large corporates are international. What happens there is they have revenues in Mexico, Brazil, India. And Coca-Cola, let's take Coca-Cola. We won't keep picking on Amazon. So let's take Coca-Cola. They are making money in all these countries, selling their different versions of Coke and Coca-Cola and Diet Coke and everything around the world. What happens when they want to bring that money back to headquarters? Now, if you do that in a stable coin, everybody can see what you're doing.
Yeah.
The first step is, there's more repatriation of stablecoins from Mexico wallet into their Atlanta, Georgia headquarter wallets. Pepsi Cola now get interested and go, look at the increase in revenue. I see that real time now. We, Pepsi Cola, are going to go in and try and hone in on that market. So that's a competitor edge threat that now that disclosure gives. Yeah. At the same time, if revenues are going down and repatriation flow is slowing, then all those analysts, the investment analysts are going, Coca-Cola are suffering. They're struggling. Let's short their security. Let's short the market on Coca-Cola. That has a negative repercussion. So all of these things, all these tools are enablers. They unlock real world business cases into the blockchain. But even if you take DeFi, now you can get to a space where you have regulated DeFi and open DeFi. The same developer can have both options available if they choose to.
So insider trading becomes a thing in crypto finally, where people can have information or not have information.
Yeah,
right?
Well, I wouldn't say insider trading. It's regulated.
Right.
It's regulated because you're saying I'm a regulated person. I would choose to operate in a regulated pool where everybody coming in has been KYC'd, KYB'd. I know that I'm not in a pool, potentially, where there is somebody from a jurisdiction that I cannot trade with.
Yep.
There are many participants in crypto today, in blockchain today, who do things through central exchanges, but don't do things on DeFi.
Yep.
The central exchanges bring KYC, KYB. DeFi doesn't always do that. I'm not saying everybody in DeFi doesn't do that, but there are, the liquidity and the access that DeFi gives because there's no KYC, KYB, is great. It's opened up a market to people who maybe not access that, but it's also prevented large flows coming in. Yeah. And everybody says, well, why do you want an advantage to the corporates or the large flows? Because they bring liquidity. Often in retail markets, in the smaller markets where liquidity is lower in volume, the retail client is the one who loses out. They're the last person standing. We saw that in the bank runs. The large corporates didn't lose out in 2008 in the financial crisis. It was the man on the street, the woman on the street, because they didn't know the news, they didn't know the info, and therefore by the time they got to the bank, it was shut. You can't take your money out, I owe you. And maybe that's what the advent of what Satoshi and Bitcoin wanted to do, was to give people, remove that intermediation. But at the same time, it does prevent other people coming in, other corporates coming in large volumes, and volumes bring liquidity. And liquidity helps with access. It means the smaller individuals don't lose out if they have the same access as others. And that's what we're trying to do, is level the playing field.
And as far as DeFi is concerned, like the reason why most of us don't want a KYC is because they're going to sell our data. They're going to lose our data. They're going to do something that they shouldn't be doing with our data. But if we can actually own our data, that changes the game completely.
But they have your data. Right? I mean, trade on DeFi, they have your data. They're watching your transactional flow, your behavior. It's there for everybody to see. If you're doing really well on DeFi, what are people going to do? They're going to copy your trades.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then you lose your edge. You lose your alpha because everybody's doing the same thing. Something what you were doing that nobody else spotted, 100 other people are copying you. Yeah. So there are advantages to transparency. There are advantages not having to KYC, KYB, but there are also disadvantages. This concept, like a public and private, of fully decentralized, no KYC, KYB versus fully regulated KYB, KYC, somewhere they're going to merge. Yeah. And that merger is going to be the new world. There's not going to be DeFi and TradFi. It's just going to be finance.
Love that. And it's because people have the option. I think that's what I love most about it. It's that you're not telling people this is the one way you have to do it. You're saying this is the spectrum that you can pick from.
Exactly.
And that's a beautiful thing for this space. It really is. Something I heard about was a Glacier Drop.
Yes.
What is that?
Okay. So great question. Glacier Drop. So Glacier Drop is the decision that we took at midnight. We think our tech is good. We think what we want to enable and want the people to embrace, and developers, community, and others, is privacy enabling solutions. So Glacier Drop is our distribution mechanism. And we've looked at, just like how we looked at blockchain technology, we've taken what's good, what hasn't worked, so taken some good things from Web 2 and tried to blend it into this next generation blockchain. We also looked at airdrops and how distribution mechanisms work. And if you think about all the large sort of chains that have come, often the community, the developers, everybody comes second. The people who built it, the VCs who've invested, they get first choice or access to the token, the distribution. And the community or the retail people come afterwards. And we think that's slightly unfair. We wanted this to be a fair distribution and us put community first. So in midnight, through the Glacier Drop, midnight will have 24 billion tokens in total supply. And we are allowing the community to come and claim all 24 billion. We're giving it all away because we believe in our tech and we want adoption. And that 24 billion is going out to 8 ecosystems as part of the first initial phase. In fact, we went live yesterday with Glacier Drop, and this initial phase is going to last for 60 days. And so if you are a address holder and eligible based on the fact that you have more than $100 in an eligible address and you're not on a sanctions list, then if you're in the following 8 ecosystems, Cardano, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Ripple, Solana, Avalanche, BNB Chain, Brave browser network, then you can come and claim for your entitlement. It's predetermined based on your ecosystem, based on your size of your address. And in that 60 days, nobody else can touch that. Nobody else. You get that. Whether you come day 1 or day 60, it's yours to come and claim. And all we ask is that you provide a message proof in a very secure way to the claim process that you are the owner of that eligible origin address. We don't ask for any tokens to be locked up. We don't ask for any payments. We don't ask for people to expose any private information like private keys. We just ask for a private secure message. So there's no lock around what you do in terms of coming to it. It is free.
I'm getting paid, guys.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
So, and why are we giving this away is we're asking developers, come and build.
Yeah.
We're asking VCs, look at your portfolio of companies who can be enhanced and their business, their application through building on Midnight, either natively or in a hybrid way. And what we're distributing is Night. Night is the ownership and governance token. But Night emits dust. Dust is the utility. It's the gas fee, for want of a better word.
Got it.
We've really looked not only at the distribution, but at the tokenomics. We call it cooperative tokenomics. In the world we live in today with Ethereum and everything else, the tokenomics are very similar. The very asset you own is the very asset you cannibalize to pay for things.
Yeah.
So let's take your phone. You may have an iPhone. You don't pay for it with Apple shares.
Right.
You pay for it with fiat or some other mechanism. The asset, the shares, you want to go up in value. The cost of that appreciation shouldn't interact and impact the cost of your transaction. So Night, which people can come and claim, will emit dust, the shielded capacity, resource, the gas fee, whatever you want to call it, or people want to call it, what makes it simpler to understand, will give you access to the network. That's what gives you the superpower around metadata and data protection, and allows you to start fully private in the chain. And what we want people to do is come and claim Night so they get capacity and access into our network. If you're a builder, user, you have dust. Essentially, think of it like buffet pricing. You pay once, you can eat as much as you want. Here, you come and claim your Night, you get capacity renewable capacity that gives you access to this network forever.
Now, the Night token, obviously, there's going to be a secondary market. People are going to trade that. But it sounds to me like the idea here is if you believe in what you guys are up to, claim it and hold it, because the byproduct of it is going to be worth way more.
I would hope so. Think of it like Night is your electricity substation, your power into the grid, and dust is your electricity. So yes, we're giving this away for free because we don't want people to claim it, think they're getting something free, and then they sell it.
Yep.
Look, ultimately that's somebody's prerogative, that's their choice. What we want is people to come and use it. We strongly believe that tech, if embraced properly through developers, through other large corporates and others beyond, is the sort of the junction between Web3 and Web2. It is that evolution. And so if you have it, you have this utility that gives you access. If you want to transact and pay for a coffee, now you have that access. It's private. And you can participate in this new network.
Wow.
But what we're also saying to the communities, the 8 communities that we are distributing this to, is everything you're doing is great. And we've chosen those communities because we think they've taken blockchain forward, or they're doing some interesting things. But we're saying, look, come and use our technology as well. Technology is about stacks, different things for different purposes. Just like when you dress, you don't wear the same thing. You don't wear, a jumpsuit all the time.
Right.
You wear trousers, you wear a shirt, whatever it may be. Technology is similar. You stack it. So Midnight could be a stack, a layer to Solana. Solana has great sort of community builders, developers. It talks about its transaction speeds. We're not going to compete with transaction speed. What we can give them is an identity solution that's fully private. Because as I said earlier, I've worn these shorts. Now you see my knees. The whole world sees my knees. I can't take it back. If you introduce privacy after the event, then there's always going to be some kind of leakage.
Yeah.
So I want Solana builders to come and use this technology to enhance what they're doing. I want Avalanche builders to do the same. Think about Bitcoin. Bitcoin has the greatest liquidity, and yet there's no applications really that compared to Ethereum and other chains. So people are looking for yield. But when you do that, it exposes maybe the large wallet that you've had that you've not touched for years. So again, Midnight can be a place where you get DeFi yield privately, where that yield pays into a private wallet, and suddenly the association to your very kind of public but untouched wallets in Bitcoin, that can be obfuscated in a way that's compliant. And again, we are not a private chain. We are not I wouldn't say everything is compliant. We give tools to people to become compliant, to introduce compliance. And that's a choice. Again, that's a choice to builders. We're not saying, hey, you can only do this if you build compliant solutions. But we're giving people tools to build new solutions, new technology, new applications, new workflows.
Now, as far as builders are concerned, obviously, there's a ton of benefits having a layer that will obfuscate things.
Yes.
Talking about how you can actually have a stack that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm all about that. I'm the furthest thing away from a maxi there can be.
Yeah.
Because I use a lot of those chains. That's why I got excited when you named a lot of them. Like, okay, cool, I'm going to get something out of this. Are we there yet, do you think? Or do you think we still have a long ways to go for people to actually adopt this multi-chain strategy, or essentially just not worrying about I'm a Cardano builder or I'm a Solana builder, and just be a blockchain builder that utilizes the best possible tech for the application they're looking to deploy?
I would love to be somewhere where people are just builders. There are builders, it doesn't matter which country you're coming from, which chain you're building on. When we think about interoperability today, you mentioned currency, so let's use that example. Today, if you're going from the US into Europe, you're going to go, oh, I need euros. I need some euro cash. Okay. So then the question you have is, how much euros do I need? So you'll take some of your hard-earned dollars and you'll, exchange them to euros. And more often than not, you probably have been too cautious, optimistic, and you probably got too much euros now. Now, you come back to the US, you go, no, I'm not going to go back to Europe for a few years. I don't want to hold on to these euros. I'm going to convert them back to dollars. You may get less dollars per euro or more dollars per euro because the markets have moved. The currency exchanges have moved. And all you wanted the euros for was transaction utility.
Yeah.
the ability to buy things easily while you're over there, pay for a taxi, pay for an ice cream, something like that. But you've taken a risk, a currency risk because of that. Interoperability in blockchains is the same. Today, if I'm in Solana and I want to do something in another chain, let's say Avalanche, because they're one of the aim, I have to, if I want to transact in Avalanche, I need to sell some of my Solana or something else and hold a bit of Avax. And then once I've done my transactions, I might convert that back, just like your euros back to dollar. What's happened to the price of Avax relative to SOL?
Yeah.
Is a byproduct of what your intent was just a transaction. So in Midnight, what we've tried to do is introduce cooperation through what we call cooperative tokenomics, splitting the Knight token, which is your governance, ownership, utility token that gives you access to that, gives the emission dust, which gives you a utility, transaction utility. Now, if you're now coming from Solana and you want to use our capabilities, you have a choice. You have a choice of buying Knight, because that gives you capacity, or you find potential users of holders of Knight who may be able to sell you, transfer, lease you transaction capacity. So transaction as a service. So rather than own a volatile asset around ownership and governance, which gives you, ownership governance on Midnight, buy the utility transaction resource. So there'll be large holders, the foundation potentially, but custodians, you yourself.
Yeah.
There could be a mechanism for you to lease the dust that you're not using to a Solana builder. So now they're just acquiring the ability to just commit a transaction. And they can do that individual transaction or transaction by transaction. If they think they learn a lot more and they want a guarantee, then they may make a choice to hold Knight. But again, it's all about choice.
Yeah.
So that creates hopefully more interoperability, more ability to combine different technology stacks, different blockchain stacks.
So that's something I noticed, that you're trying to put the power in the hands of the people to make decisions on what do you want to disclose, how do you want to actually, acquire Knight. Do you think they're gonna actually get stuck? Because a lot of times when you have too many options, people are like, I don't know what to do, and you just kind of abandon what's going on. Are you afraid of that?
It's potential risk. But then again, think about technology, how it's evolved over the last 20, 30 years and the speed at which it evolves. That's where it comes down to the pioneers, the developers. They will find ways to make this simple. And therefore the choice is a choice between, do I want to use, like today, a browser like Google, where they capture all my information in intent, or do I go to a browser like Brave, where it's privacy by default. We've got to get to a place where it's privacy by default, disclosure by choice. That empowers you, the individual, and the builders. So choice is then, I want to use Google Chrome, or I want to use Brave. That's where the choice should come to. And then you choose the platform. The builders are going to make that choice simpler for you.
So talking about options here, you have given people a lot of options, and the options here is to actually participate.
Yes.
And a lot of people are picking this up, including blockchain.com. What's that all about? Like, what are these partnerships that are evolving here?
Yeah, look, again, this is about putting community first. And for us, we're going out to 8 ecosystems, all of them eligible to claim the 24 billion supply of Knight. But we recognize that makes it hard. This is something that's novel, innovative, never been tried before. So people can come through self-custody wallets, hardware wallets, institutional custodians, potentially through their central exchange accounts. So we have been working with many partners over the last 18 months, just speaking to them, first of all, hey, what are we doing at Midnight? Why does this matter? And then as the Glacier Drop approach sort of evolved, we're speaking to partners. And we're really fortunate that partners like blockchain.com align with our vision. The vision around what Midnight could be and could enable, but also importantly, the vision around putting community first through Glacier Drop. And they, amongst other partners, and I feel bad for not naming them all, and over the coming days and weeks, we'll announce many of them, is to make the claim process as easy as possible for their customer base, their audience. and they've done an amazing job, and they've been great partners. But I want it to be more than just the claim exercise. We have other partners, institutional custodians, who not only are going to support the claim, they're going to support Knight holdings on their platforms, but they're actually looking at the technology about how they bring some of the credit risk solutions, settlement solutions, which they took off chain, back on chain. True proof of reserves on chain in a private way, and other things that they could evolve through Midnight. So there's always, that's what I care more about, that adoption, that use case. So the claim is an exercise to do that and bring the partners in, and they align to that community first vision. Then the next step is come build on us. Come give your clients, your customers, something more than just the claim. Give them access and opportunity in what we're trying to do.
So talking about partnerships here,
Yeah.
who else may not be on this list that you want to be partnered with? And you don't have to drop names. Any technologies out there, any features that you think would be very viable as a partnership?
So I say to my team very often, and look, I am surrounded by an amazing team, not only at the foundation, but also at Shielded Technologies, the engineering company, also at IO, where Charles sits and has been a backer, a visionary around what we're doing. I talk about those old laptop adverts. If you remember those, whether it was a Microsoft Surface or it was a Dell, Hewlett Packard, at the very end, you'd always get that Intel jingle. So everybody was using Intel chips back then. Obviously now there's more choice, NVIDIA and other things. So, but back then it was always that Intel jingle.
We all heard it, dun dun dun.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody bought it because there was an Intel chip. They just bought it, like Dell, whatever it is. I wanted to get a place where Midnight technology and the blockchain is powering solutions and you don't even know it. We talk about obfuscation. Sometimes people take that negative way. The technology around blockchain should be obfuscated. People shouldn't even know.
Yeah.
When you go and use a solution today, you don't think about, is it backed by AWS or is it Amazon or is it Azure? Is it Google Cloud? You don't care. You don't really want to know. I think of a world where, let's say, Apple and their application App Store, think about how much healthcare data they capture on the phone, on Aura rings and other things. And you buy a subscription for that because you want to get access to more than the basic. But what happens if Apple use our network, or the application developer on App Store uses Midnight, and they are using our privacy enabling solutions to empower their clients and how that data is stored, and their client is paying that subscription and they don't know that the app provider is using some of those dollars to come and acquire dust or lease dust for this private use. That would be a great use case. That would be like where this potentially could go.
Yeah.
Because then Apple, any corporate, doesn't have to own a volatile crypto asset. They can access privacy as a solution, as a transaction. That would be a really cool use case. And again, I go back to the Glacier Drop. We want to encourage people to come and claim. They've got 60 days. Already in the first 24 hours, I know we haven't got things perfect. There's been some difficulties with some users and people coming. But we ask them to be patient. We listen. We're going to solve those problems. They still have 59 days left. But in the first 24 hours, we've had over almost 2% of the possible claim already claimed.
Very cool.
Of the total 24 billion, almost 2% has been claimed. Tens of thousands have come and successfully claimed. They're not advertising that. Because clearly they don't want to tell people.
Yeah.
But that silent majority, that's who we care about. We care about the people, not just in the blockchain industry, but everybody beyond. Today, I think there's 500 million addresses, wallets, users. But the population of the world is 8-9 billion. So when we talk about real world adoption, we're not even close.
No, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And a lot of those wallets, 100 of those are mine.
Yeah.
And a handful I've lost. So you're welcome, everybody, for burning all of that. And that's very common. Like a lot of people that got in early on, a lot of that, a lot of those tokens out there, nobody's going to ever access it again.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I mean, there's a lot of road ahead, but it's exciting to have, tools like this to actually do exactly what you said. Take a look at real world scenarios and apply blockchain technology where it actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially with being able to obfuscate it, because that is a huge concern for a lot of people. Like, why would I open up my servers to this stuff? Why would I actually, take on that risk? and you're essentially de-risking a lot of applications. You're de-risking businesses that might not ever, come out just because it's too risky. It's too difficult for me to deal with all this data. But if you just say no, you can just give a little piece of it or just show this much. I mean, that changes the game completely. And I mean, like you said, and Apple, using this type of technology totally makes sense and is actually not only worth it for the corporation but for the end user, which makes me super excited.
Well, 100%. And you think about putting data in the hands of individuals. How many data hacks have we heard about in this year alone? So you take even Coinbase, who are recognized as one of the leading institutions in this space. They had leakage around PII, private information. So think of a world where they don't have to hold the data. They can get proof of they KYB'd through an identity solution midnight. They passport all of their potential clients in that way. Then they don't have that risk of a breach.
Yeah.
That means they have to spend less money, let's say, or personnel on compliance solutions because they've solved for some of those solutions potentially.
Yeah.
And if they hold less data and there's less chance of a breach, then they have lower chances of paying a large regulatory fine. So lower costs, potential for lower data issues, breaches, lower regulatory fines. It takes people, companies, businesses from being data holders to being data processors, which has a much lower risk and a much lower cost.
Absolutely. I got to ask this thing though. What is something that people sometimes they don't get right when they're looking at midnight? Misconceptions, things that your FAQs, right? People are always like, oh, no. Let me point you in the right direction. Is there something like that happens often?
Yeah, I think people often say, oh, we're a private chain. Or you're like Monero. Or you're like so-and-so. No, we're an evolution. Every chain is an evolution of the previous one. We're not a privacy chain or a private chain. We're not a permission chain. We're a permissionless chain that provides privacy-enabling solutions. So that's why we care about the builders. We care about the builders getting access to Dust to help build these shielded solutions, which they can use our smart contract, Compact, to disclose information, to share information. So we talk about obfuscation. I hear you say that. I understand what you mean. But often people think of it in a negative way.
Yeah.
Just think about it more as confidentiality. Privacy is confidentiality. It's about deciding what you want to share. And again, that choice, we talk about choice a lot. You've heard that word a few times. It's really important. And because we live in a very free world and have access to many things, we often overlook that. So we're going to go back to it's privacy by default, disclosure by choice. And that's power. Privacy is about powering individuals, businesses, users.
And I think you're right. People a lot of times look at obfuscation as a negative thing, and I have to actually show them, okay, here's my ID.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get somewhere where I need to be over 21. Let me show you what I'm going to do. And I literally put tape over my entire ID with the exception of my birth date year. Not even month or date.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is what obfuscation looks like when it's done right.
Yeah.
And usually there's a light bulb that goes, oh, so you're just saying you don't want to share all your info. It's like, that's exactly what obfuscation is.
That's what exactly it is. So I'm choosing what to share. And Midnight, because it uses zero knowledge, it's not even just showing the data. You're providing a proof of who you are, how old you are, where you are. So think about gaming applications, gambling applications, many other things. You have to be above a certain age to participate. You have to be from a certain jurisdiction. Even stablecoins, they're backed by assets, treasury assets. There's a lot of yield-bearing assets coming into RWAs coming into blockchain. Some of them have to be US only. How do you prove that on a blockchain that you are US only in an anonymized blockchain? Always very hard.
Yeah.
So they sometimes solve for those solutions off-chain, and once they've solved those solutions, then they bring it on-chain. But that's not what we were trying to do.
No.
What we were trying to do, and the whys of why people came into blockchain, was about change and improvement. So going back to the old ways doesn't really help. We've got to think about how the technology, improves, evolves to the way that we apply these different things. We think about AI. AI is, what blockchain was 10, 15 years ago. AI is that today. Everybody's investing in AI. How do you know the data around AI is legitimate, is sourced correctly, is accurate? So again, blockchain, through technology it has, can help validate that the AI sources. You can get proof that it's accurate or it was enabled. So there's many use cases, healthcare data, supply chain. I can go on and people get fall asleep because, as you know, I talk too much. But yeah, it's all about, I want people to come realize we're not a private chain.
Yeah.
We're privacy enabling. People often say, are you compliant? We provide tooling that gives people the ability through our smart contract to be compliant in the industry that they care about or operate in. So, and I would say people just come and have a play. Come and speak to the team at the foundation or reach out to Shielder Technologies. As I say, I want people to come and use it.
And where do they go? Where do they get in contact with you guys to say, all right, what can I build and how can I get involved in this thing?
So midnight.network, absolutely. If you go to the page there's a lot of documentation you can download, a lot of example apps or solutions you can look at. There are also FAQs there to help people along, also some contacts addresses that they can message to get involved. Then whether it's the foundation team or whether it's the technology team at Shielded, they will reach out as appropriate. For people to come and claim, again, we urge them to be careful. There is only one claim site, midnight.gd. As I said earlier, the claim is free. We will not ask for any sensitive information like your private keys. We will not ask you to lock up any tokens either. So if anybody's doing that, please don't.
Yeah.
Just come to midnight.gd. We'll help you through that. Got questions? There's FAQs, and also you can reach out, as I say, to the different parties involved. Again, if people are claiming to be partners, double check that they are. We just, as you said, we just spoke about blockchain.com. There are others that will get announced. If you're not sure, then again, come back and double check with us.
Fami, this is like incredible. It's what we've been waiting for, to be honest with you. It's a lot of the things that we are always saying, like we want to see this, in blockchain technology, but we haven't had the tools. And it's just super exciting to not only have this conversation with you, but see all this development, see everything that's been going on in this space, and see us actually get to the next level. And this may sound a little bit counterintuitive, but I hope nobody ever hears about you after a little while, just like nobody cares about what's inside of their computers.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of don't want people to know that we even exist in a funny kind of way. Yeah, you're right.
But phenomenal what you've been building, what enabling builders to use now, and I can't see what comes out of it because we have ideas.
Yes.
But man, like there's so many great minds out there that I'm sure will surprise us with what they are able to do.
Well, that's why I'm reaching out to the audience here, to the builders, the pioneers, the innovators who came into this space to make a difference, to make a change. Come and look at the technology. We're giving this away for free, so you can come and claim it, so you can get access and capacity into this network. Come and see what it can do. If you think you can help improve it, then come and speak to us. Let's work together. We're working with partners across other chains as well, outside of these 8. That, again, in the ZK space, we want to partner together. We will improve together. How do we take Halo 2 and other things forward? How do we take existing ZK technology forward? Yeah. We're not here to say we're the cleverest or the brightest. We just have an idea, and we want to take people along with that journey. Love that ethos. It's exactly why I'm here. It's exactly why I've stuck around all this time through, bears and bulls. Yeah. And to see builders actually do really cool things. Thank you so much. Thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it. Take care.
Hey, what's up?
But it's not something Gen Z is afraid of.
If you want to survive, you got to build a house.
We do not understand.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Get back at the Gen Z Media House.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today.